Funding for arts in schools in America has been on the wane for a decade now. Schools which did well in maths and tests got more money. This so-called No Child Left Behind policy left behind the arts.
After that, you know what we have to make? You're making a tree trunk. What do we need next to the tree? Branch! We're going to make branches that tree be from. I'm seeing orange leaves and red leaves.
Red
for spring. Good job.
When times are hard, this is when you learn to sing. When times are hard, you dance through your hard times. You sing through your hard times. You do art through your hard times. You express yourself in that way to express how difficult the times are. And that's where our money needs to go. We can't do without the arts in our school, and or in our communities. This is not a time to disband the arts. That's like the last thing that we should ever think about. We need it more. It has been the only way that I myself made it through school in the Bronx, was being a part of a music program and an arts program in my school. Every now and then I go by Pierce Middle School to go look at Miss Morell's picture because it reminds me of her impact on me in school and allowing me to find my place in middle school, going to that music room with Miss Morell and helping me with auditions, and I found my place there. Because it's so personal for me and has engulfed my whole life, the arts, it has allowed me to want to do this for other children here in the Bronx and all over as much as I possibly can. It honestly kind of changed my life. It kind of changed my life.
Do you think we need the New Deal again?
Yes, I think we need some of the institutions that they brought in, because the fact that in our schools, music and art is being cut out of the schools, and I think music and art is absolutely necessary for the development of the young people. A whole human being should have an appreciation and an understanding of the arts, whether it's music, art, or whatever, to make a complete whole human being. My legacy is here, that people should leave something besides just a tombstone. This is what this is telling you. That you should do something to help, something that you created, a painting, a sculpture, an institution that you started, whatever, but you leave something real that helped people.
And do you find that the community has actually really benefited from the art?
Oh, I think so. It's encouraged them. You know, when you look at these paintings, this by Henry Avery, he's long gone, but the painting is here, this beautiful painting, you know, and many others that are in here.
President Obama has talked about the arts.
What did he say?
Well, he said he's going to put some money in the arts.
Oh, good, good. I'll have to write him a letter of congratulations.
If he does it.
Oh, he probably will if he says he'll do it.
The will may be there, but he has a very long way to go.
The creative industries in America are very significant to the 21st century economy, bigger than most politicians understand or most Americans understand. So we have to hammer away at that message about the economics and the jobs, while at the same time pushing for people to understand the very reason for the arts, people to understand themselves better in a complex world, people to understand, you know, pain or suffering or beauty or happiness through the arts. Our message is that the arts are part of the solution to America's problems, not part of the problem.
If you go back to ancient Rome or the Renaissance, nobody remembers the names of the popes or the politicians. It's the artists who define the culture. And it's their work which says what kind of society it was. So what are we leaving behind? And how much encouragement did we give in its formation in the first place? It's our vital national legacy.
It annoys me a tiny bit that everyone's turning to the New Deal at the moment. It happened in a context of nothing else being done in the public sector for the arts. So it seemed dramatic, unusual, and a really creative intervention. I was at a seminar at number 11 Downing Street where some American academics said, yeah, you know, the Brits have got a lot to learn from the new... Well, come on, the Americans have got a hell of a lot to learn about the public sector funding of the arts from the Brits. We're miles ahead of them.
Here in Britain, public subsidy of the arts got off to a slower start, but it's been much longer lasting. In the 1930s, when the New Deal was at its height in America, the government here didn't see its role as interfering with the arts economy. That would have smacked of socialism. The Depression was raging here too, with unemployment at record levels. But up in Northumbria, a small group of miners were painting pictures. Their story is a window onto a peculiarly British history. What was special about them was that they painted their own lives, rather than let others mythologize them. The impetus of this work was quite different, really, to what was happening with the WPA in America, where these sort of rather heroic tableaus were being made.
It's completely opposite end of the spectrum. Actually, the WPA was much more like Stalinist Russia in the best and nicest possible way. Post offices and factories were given these colossal works which actually, on the whole, are worthy but boring. In these paintings, you don't get any of that feeling they're serving some kind of political agenda.
The group started as a Workers' Education Association art class. In a way, they're an advert for art without the pressures of the market or the advantages and traps of public funding.
In Ashington, which is an isolated pit village 16 miles from Newcastle, there were no facilities of any kind at all unless the people themselves produced them. And so there was a tradition of independence. You could say bloody-mindedness, certainly against authority, said that we want to learn about art, we'll get ourselves a tutor. So, I mean, that's Harry Wilson's first painting ever, the kind of Ashington Cézanne. He loved Cézanne, and this is in 1934, when smart people in London didn't necessarily like Cézanne unless they were called Roger Fry and belonged to Bloomsbury. So this is, from the grassroots, the utter sophistication and intelligence of someone doing a painting for the first time and finding that it was a wonderful thing to do. Within weeks, Oliver Kilbourne, one of the pitmen, had turned out this painting, The Hermit, of a man who's obviously psychologically distressed. It's got spirit, place, a sense of drama, and it's a real painting.
Now the pitmen's paintings are housed in a lottery-funded museum. In the 80 years since they started to paint, the face of the arts in Britain has changed completely. Nearby Newcastle has been transformed by the arts. Public and private money have poured into arts institutions and buildings. Some artists make fortunes. Others piece together a living from commissions, part-time jobs, or sales, if they're lucky. Damien Hirst and the Severed Head. Damien Hirst apparently now hand-paints his own canvases, though in Claridge's, of course.
Britain's getting richer. There are already 50,000 millionaires in this country.
I think we need more wealth, more growth.
Another of that generation of young British artists, the YBAs, destroyed all his possessions during the boom.
Last year, in the heart of London, a solitary and not very well-known artist captured the world's attention. His name is Michael Landy. Nothing will keep us together. Over 2 weeks, he destroyed all his worldly possessions.
Forever and ever, oh, we can be heroes just for one day.
He's installed a giant conveyor belt in a former CNA store in London, and 10 operatives will be standing by to dismantle and then destroy his possessions.
It seems that less is still more for Michael Landy.
When I walked in here and I saw this neatly arranged in this way, I thought this was a Michael Landy minimalist artwork or
It's just a dog's bed, yeah, sadly.
You've lost all those possessions in 2001 in the midst of a period of extreme consumerism.
Yeah.
You captured a moment, really.
It was a perfect place, so, like, you know, it's like a mecca for shopping. It's Oxford Street, it's where people go to shop. And suddenly, you know, you had this person actually destroying all these worldly belongings, and so it's like this weird role reversal. In a world that's fairly unstable, I think kind of buying things literally gives people a kind of stabilising force in their lives.
Sort of 8 years later, and the economy has collapsed. How are artists going to respond?
We're still in and amongst it at the moment, so there will be a clear out. There normally always is. There's a clear out of galleries and there's a clear out of artists, and then, you know, I don't know what replaces that.
Some artists even manage to cut out the cost of having a studio. They work on the internet and form a community there, or more prosaically, work from home.
We started work in the middle of a recession, so it was about 92, 93, and there was absolutely no money, and we had to exist. So we made ourselves recession-proof. We, don't have a studio. Our objects aren't huge. We don't have crates, there aren't shipping costs. So our income is very much spread. You know, we'll have some sales, we have commissions, maybe a broadcast piece or a little bit of teaching. But also, to be honest, we live very cheaply. And I think that ultimately that's one of the biggest skills that we have as artists. We don't have a gallery saying, do more red ones. Only this work here is selling well. You just don't have that pressure. You can actually just go and start a dialogue with you and your work and see where it takes you. It's very liberating.
One of their objects is huge. A railway sign displays in real time what people are typing into an internet search engine.
I think it's going to be a dodgy time for everyone. The young artists who really, really want to be artists will work their way through this. But it will cut out people who maybe aren't willing to go through that.
When the market was booming, everyone complained about it. You know, it's fashionable to moan about how decadent and disgusting and overpriced everything is. The same people now just seem to be worried about it crashing. But it just feels like a new dawn, I suppose, or things take a step back, almost returning to ground zero.
The artists who might want to make their work as commercial as possible are not going to be taken as seriously, because there is less room for flippancy. There is this mood celebrating integrity and content over kind of shallow, self-referential, non-meaning.
Some people have called this the new moralism, a reaction to inflated prices and decadence in the art market.
Economics became the content of the art, where you have art with diamonds and art about money. It got to the point where artists with no history were making historic prices, and that's outrageous. It was just a factor of a market gone wild, of people just tripping over themselves to find the next young thing. And that's finished.